No, your ears are not deceiving you. This is retro music. We're taking a ride back on the Wayback Machine because I have not done one of these in so long that I just needed to listen to the inspirational music. Randy, I hope you're there. And if you're there, I'm sure you're going to tell me my mic is muted. Hello, Jeff. Hello, Jan. Hello, Michael. Who else is here? David Kreitz is here. Josh Lawrence is in the house. That's how he and I always greet each other, by announcing that we are both in the house. Nice to see you all. It is a positively gorgeous day in the Hudson Valley today, and I hope you're all doing well. This is Logik Live 139. We're going to be talking files and workflow with one of my favorite services to use, MASV.io. Who's here? Luke is here. Bonjour. Luke, good to see you again. And I said to Jeff texted me right before the show to tell me that, yes, you see? I guess I'm remembering. I don't know exactly. I've forgotten how the software works. It's going to be a great show. That I said to Jeff, he texted me earlier that to wish me good luck. And I was like, dude, I feel like I'm back in my happy place because we were doing these every week for so many years. So it's good to be back. Phil Mann is here. Carlos is here. All right, let's see. Quinn is here. Oh, wonderful. We're going to be talking files, guys. All right. This is something we all deal with every day. I'm starting a new big job in the middle of next week. And so this is certainly like something that's fresh on my mind. Oh, wait a minute. That's right. We've turned to the introspective portion of this music, which is something I always loved. This is it. Logik Live 139. Here we go. All right. This transition is for you, Randy, wherever you are out there in internet land. All right. Hey, friends, it's Andy. Welcome to Logik Live. We're going to get underway, and I hope to God I remember how the slideshow works. This episode of Logik Live is brought to you by Looper, live collaboration for video pros. Live stream up to 4K, edit, VFX, color, and sound sessions. If you need to do a live stream with anybody, you should definitely check out looper.io. We love these guys. Be sure to, new users can get 1 month of the Plus plan for free. And Jeff, I can't find the slideshow. Oh, man. Hold on. All right. Looper.io. I knew it was going to be something. All right. We are going to say thank you very much, Keynote, for crashing right at the beginning of the show. This is a good sign. I feel that we have gone and had our first technical mistake right at the beginning of the show, right after a very smooth transition. And so what I am going to do is forego the rest of the slideshow. But I will thank all of our patrons on Patreon. We could not do what we do here at Logik without you and your support. We're probably going to start a GoFundMe for my Keynote application here, which is going to need to be like force quit at some point during this so we can close out the show later. But like I said, today we're going to be talking files. So today we're diving into a topic that challenges every VFX business from boutique studios to the largest post-production houses, and that is moving massive numbers of massive files. We probably should have done like a massive, like a drinking game or something like that. Anytime I say the word or whatever, I don't want to influence anybody. This is a family show. But whether it's camera files, transcoded dailies, or final renders, handling file transfers at this scale is no easy feat. And today we're spotlighting a solution and a go-to service for me personally that's making a difference. Joining us today is Conner Stirling, Partner Solutions Engineer at MASV.io. Conner's not only an expert on the tech side, he is one of us, my friends, a seasoned VFX professional who's worked as an editor, compositor, and on-set supervisor. With that unique perspective, Conner will walk us through MASV.io's one-to-many workflow, or massive-to-many workflow as they call it, and show how it's helping studios send huge files more efficiently. So if you've ever been held up waiting on slow, clunky file transfers, this episode is for you. So please, let's have a nice, warm Logik Live welcome to Conner Stirling. Hello, Conner.
Hey, Andy. How's it going? Thanks for having me on the show.
Oh, it's going great. As you can tell, we already had our first technical challenge of the show. And so I feel like now that I've gotten that out of the way, we are free. Like, we are free to live our best lives and have our best show.
I'm really glad it was you and not me, to be honest with you, that had the first one. I'm sure I'll have a few during this, but yeah, it's great to be here and really excited to kind of show you guys what MASV can do and like you said, that massive to many workflow, which is a one to many workflow, but I like to call it massive to many because we're using MASV and it's something that gets me really excited about workflow. So
Agreed. Yeah, I first heard about Massive from my partner Randy McEntee way back when we first started Logic Live. I'm sure many of you at home have seen it or remember it. Randy came on to talk about how do you start your flame business at home now that we're all working from home. And one of the things that he like told everybody about was using Massive, and he was singing its praises not only for the ease of use and the speed of transfer, but the whole portal concept that you have just makes it very easy for really anybody. And I was at IBC back in September, making my way through the convention center, and saw the guys at the Massive booth, and went right up there and was like, "Hi, my name's Andy. I'm from America, and I'm your biggest fan." And that's how this started. So I think that might have been Brad that I connected with. But happy to have you here, man. And it's again, I want to let everybody at home know that that Conner here is one of us. So if you do have any specific questions that are very, very, very focused or tailored to post-production, visual effects, anything like that, this is a guy who's going to speak our language. And so without any further ado, why don't we dive into it, Conner? I think the challenge is pretty straightforward in that it's something, like I said at the top, it's something we deal with every day. I'm about to start a huge job on Wednesday. I know that my client is going to just let me know, good morning, how are you? And here's like 6 terabytes of stuff, that needs to go here, and this person also might need it. The editor's going to need it. We should probably preemptively send it to the color grading house, which doesn't want 6 terabytes of files. They only want the selects. But that's a topic for maybe like an emotional support show that we'll have.
For sure.
After
actually, that's one of my favorite workflows, Andy, is actually making sure that color only gets exactly what they want.
Amen,
which
brother.
is something I've shown off previously before, actually, with a different company, also using Massive. So, I'm happy to talk about that as well. But I also do want to point out, I am one of you, but I'm not cool enough to be a flame artist. I'm sorry, I'm a nuke guy that has invaded your space. So
no, it's fine. We're a welcoming community.
In the comments.
We're a welcoming community. Thumbs up or flying. And yes, we're all good. We're all good there. Many of us are nuke users. We use it to support our flame addiction. So why don't do you want to start just with a kind of a brief overview of what Massive is and how it fits into the rest of the industry?
Yeah, of course. So, everybody I think is really familiar with the process of sending and receiving files, right? So Massive is a accelerated cloud-based file transfer service. So, a lot of folks in the industry might be familiar with Signiant or Aspera, having used those in the past. And, those are great tools. They've been around for a really long time. I myself have used them previously, sending and receiving plates for shots and painfully waiting for those transfers to finish. And some folks, may be on the other side of things, or they used things like, WeTransfer or Google Drive or Dropbox to send those files, right? We've all worked with those clients before that they don't know about those accelerated transfer services. So what Massive is it's an easy to use file transfer service. We work in the web browser. So the key thing with Massive is that there is nothing to install, right? We do have a desktop app that you can use, but you don't need to install any plugins or anything like that. If you can reach, facebook.com, you can reach massive.io, and you can start sending and receiving files at high speed. So that's something that I think is really interesting and unique in the industry, where a lot of these services, talking about the players like Signiant or Aspera, a lot of them require a lot of setup time, right? I need to have this lead up to make sure everything's working. Get my client set up on the other end so that they have access to Aspera, so I can send and receive files. And that kind of doesn't fly for a lot of productions, I think, today, where, a lot of folks will relate that they're freelancers and they're kind of spinning up a show or a commercial or, any type of project, and it has to happen ASAP, right? It needs to happen literally tomorrow. We're going to start receiving stuff. And sometimes those solutions aren't going to fit that workflow. Where Massive, you can literally get up and running with a credit card, create an account in 3 minutes, and you can set up a portal and start receiving files immediately. So I think that's what kind of separates us from a lot of the other folks that are in the industry, right? WeTransfer, Signiant, Aspera, but also some folks don't even know about those, right? They're using like Google Drive, and how many times has a client set you a link to like a Google Drive or even Frame.io or something like that to start downloading footage,
Yes.
right?
There's nothing better than getting like 12,000 EXR files on Frame.io. I
Oof,
digress.
it's a pain, right? And like
Yeah.
those especially
12,000
those like
individual handshakes.
of course, it is. It's exactly that. It's 12,000 individual handshakes, and that's where Massive really also helps a lot. Is that we chunk these files, and we have lots of different workers that are working to upload and download those files. So something like EXRs, right? Like that's where we can help with those, um, you know, at a certain size as well. Which file size is actually a pretty important topic, right? In terms of strengths and weaknesses for a lot of things. If you're trying to send those over like Google Drive or WeTransfer or Frame.io, and they're really, really small. Let's say we're getting like EXRs that are like DWA compressed, right?
Mm-hmm.
They're like a couple megs each. That can really slow down both file uploads and file transfers. But if we're getting ones that are, PIZ or zip or anything like that, that are 50, 60, 80 megabytes, if you're working in like 32-bit or, higher, I don't know if you'd work in 64-bit at all. So
Not
there's a lot.
happily, but yes.
Not happily, right?
Yeah.
I have done shows in 32-bit, and it's definitely a pain for everybody involved, right?
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, we have lots of stuff that I can show you here, but I think one of the strengths of Massive is this one-to-many workflow, and I can kind of tell maybe there's a few people in the audience that are like, well, what does that mean, right? Like, does that mean sending it to many people? What does it mean? So Massive has this unique ability, because we are cloud-based, is that we can use the cloud to send files to multiple destinations. And like you mentioned earlier, Andy, one of the things that Massive is known for is its massive portals. So if I am sending or I need to receive files from a client that's the 6 terabytes of footage, but I need that in multiple places, let's say I want it in a cloud backup, or maybe I even want it on my local NAS, Massive has the ability to deliver those files to each of those locations automatically in one single upload. So, the opposite of that, or the thing that we're probably all really familiar with, is these kind of chain of event workflows, right? I have these files and I put them in this place, and then I download them, and then I move them to this drive, and then that drive gets backed up to the cloud. And, maybe I have another local backup here just so that I have multiple versions of it. And that's how workflows have happened for a long time. You yourself probably have a very similar workflow at this point, right? You download stuff and then you move it back to different locations.
Oh yeah, sure. It's something that I keep telling myself I'm going to automate or simplify, but I get stuck sometimes in the it works, and I'm busy kind of mode.
For sure. And that also, I think you've highlighted something there too, where it's like, I don't have time to download this and move this here and then move this here and then move this here, because I would much rather just be working on it, right? And getting the shot done, making the client happy, and then I can kind of do this data management after the job, right? Of like, okay, yeah, that's already backed up. Now here are the masters. And that's something that I faced a lot working as a VFX editor, which is, working in like a studio facility, you have to have like an air gap between your production volume and your editorial volume. So we're receiving these files to like a local Synology or a QNAP or something like that, doing a scan, make sure everything's good, make sure there's no viruses, right? And then moving it into the production environment. So not only are you downloading that, but then you're moving that onto another server. And that can take a lot of time, right? So, and I know my camera is just frozen there, so forgive me. Hopefully
Your camera's doing its best impression of my keynote presentation.
See, I'm glad it was you and not me first. So, file transfer can take a long time, and it's one of those things that I think it's very hard to gauge the time suck that it's going to be, right? You think, oh yeah, we can get started tomorrow, but it's like you need a day of just receiving and ingesting those files, right? So, Massive aims to cut that time down so that you can get to work faster, which for some, I used to love having that excuse of like, oh, I'm rendering, right? I'm just rendering the shot, and that's your 15, 30-minute coffee break here. But unfortunately, a lot of the time now,
I don't know what you're talking about. I
right?
That's not something I'm familiar. That's a strategy or technique I've never really. I'll have to ask the community if that's anything they've ever done.
Yeah, chime in the comments if that's you.
Absolutely.
Sorry, forgive me there. So yeah, I do have a little demo here that I'm happy to show you guys and kind of start walking you through, and we can take a look at Massive. I do want to highlight, like, I'm going to show off a lot of what Massive can do in the browser. We do have a desktop app that I'm happy to go over as well, and show folks what can be done there. But a lot
Mhm.
of what I'm showing off can be done in the desktop app. We're just going to use the web interface because we can interact with a few more settings and things like that. Cool.
Great. Let's dive right in. If anybody has
Let's
any
do it.
questions, please go ahead and put them in the chat. I'll make sure that Connor hears them. And Josh, rendering, that's something you do with chicken fat when you're cooking. So that's what we're talking about, just to put it in other terms. Let me go ahead and bring up Connor's screen here.
Amazing. Perfect.
All right,
So
take us through it, man.
love it. Let's do it. So this is Massive. So once you create a Massive account, this is the interface that you'll be greeted with here. So if you're familiar with things like WeTransfer or any file sharing service, this will look very familiar to you. I have a card here that I can drag and drop my files into. I can even add folders. And that's actually something important to highlight about Massive is we maintain that folder structure. So whatever folder structure you have going in, we'll maintain that on delivery, so you don't have to worry about things getting messed up or getting collapsed or anything like that. And we have the same idea where it's email recipients, same as WeTransfer, where if I want to send a file specifically to someone, I could send it to myself. Andy, I could send it to you. And the nice thing is that generates an email to that person with a unique link. So if I send it directly to that person's email and they download that file, I'm actually notified when they download that file. So you do have the option to send packages out as a link only, but you won't have that ability to see who and when it was downloaded. We have things like being able to set file expiry dates, right? So once I upload a package and it's inside of Massive, I can set that to expire after 5 days, and I can also set that to expire after a certain amount of downloads. So one thing about Massive is that we are a usage or consumption based service. So we only charge you for the files that are downloaded. So upload as much as you want to Massive. We'll only charge you 25 cents a gig on the pay as you go, but we also have subscription plans. We'll only charge you based on the content that's downloaded there. And like most things, I can set a package name. I could send a message with this transfer, and I can even add a tag to it if I want to be able to sort my transfers. So I could add things like, this is a dailies transfer, this is a VFX transfer, this is original camera media, for example. And I can also password protect that download, which is very important for a lot of folks, right? I need to be able to send that securely and provide them a password separately on my own, either through another secure means, so that they can access that file. So that's probably all really familiar with folks, right? But I think that's where the similarities to other services kind of start to end there, because we also do have this other tab on the right called remote files. So this is for sending local files. That means files that I have on a drive that I have access to locally, right? But I have this tab called remote files. And if I want to send files from other storage, I can do that. So I actually have right here, if I go to add remote files, I actually have my Wasabi bucket here that I can go into, and I can peruse files in here. Actually, there's no files in here because I just deleted this bucket so that we could do our demo today. And actually, I could send files from either S3, Wasabi, or I could send them actually from my local NAS that's running our new storage agent, which I'll talk a bit about that in a while, but you could have remote access to your own storage. So that's really cool. And again, we have all the same kind of features to send those files. But the next thing I want to move on to is the portals. So we have the ability to request files with portals. So also one of my favorite features of Massive is having this portal ability where not only can I request files from clients or other collaborators or anything like that, but I could also use this in a production, for example. So if I have multiple units shooting across the world or across the country, and I need all that data to go back into one place, I could create a portal for all those units to submit in, and then all that data comes back to me, but it can also go to those multiple destinations, right, that we talked about. So when you're creating a portal, you actually have two options when you're creating that. So you can hit new portal here, and you get two options. First one's a custom portal, and the other one is an instant portal. Instant portals are great because if I just need to quickly request files from someone where we're on a call, let's say, and they say, oh yeah, I have 100 gigs of files or 10 gigs of file, great. Here's a portal immediately. You can start uploading files to it and I'll receive them. Great in a pinch. But if you want to create a custom portal, we can get into a lot more features and integrations that we have there. So I've actually gone ahead and I've created a Logik Live portal here, which I'm going to open up so that you guys can see what it looks like. So this is our Logik.tv portal, right? I've done a little bit of customization here with the backdrop and adding the logo, so you can fully brand these portals however you want. Sorry, Andy, I just saw a comment jump up there. Is that something we need to talk about there?
No, it was just someone saying that they love the portal or inbox, have made so many clients happy with that. So
amazing. Yeah, and that's something we hear a lot. Thank you to our wonderful commenter there, because that's something that people tell us a lot that they really enjoyed, which is clients don't have to download anything, right? They don't have to create an account or log into anything. They just have a web page that they can go in and drop files. And I'm not aware of another service that does that. If there is, definitely drop it in the comments. Would love to hear about that and love to hear about your experience with it. But you'll see here, Andy, I've got this portal, but I've also got a bunch of these custom fields that I've added here to check out. So I've got some things like submission notes. I've got a package name, all these things. And that's part of the power of portals, is I can really, really customize what this portal's doing. So I'm going to go in here and edit this portal. And, this is our general, right? So I've given this portal here a name, our domain called logiklive.portal.masv.io. And I've also given it this more regular name here. And also, I want to notify myself, of course, if anything gets submitted to this portal. But if I have other team members, MASV does have team spaces that we can add other collaborators in. So if you have folks like coordinators or producers that need to be notified that files have been delivered, you certainly can automate it so that they get those notifications, right? It's not just going to one person, or it doesn't have to be, the client sending you an email just oh, hey, by the way, I uploaded those portals or those files or portals or anything like that. Everybody on the team gets notified.
It's great. It's really, really great. I'm just following some of the comments in here, especially This is one from Jeff saying that's a cool philosophy to charge per download. And this whole kind of, I get, as you've taken us through even just setting up the portal, I'm having flashbacks of use cases or instances where, I'm busy working and I've gotten I've been notified that something has been, is waiting for me, but it didn't go to the person to actually, if I'm working in tandem with an editor or a colorist or something like that, it's just, it's just great. And also I guess it's okay to mention, you see it. I use Frame.io, I use some other services, and those things are finite. They fill up. And I've had clients, preemptively, Andy here, I know you said you were looking for clean plates or some element that we may have shot. And so, I know you only need one frame, but here's 1.5 terabytes of stuff, The fact that I can peruse that before downloading it means it's not costing me anything. It's not taking up space, it's not automatically bumping me to a higher storage tier and all these other things that have happened, over the course of my my freelance career. But anyway, just great stuff, man. So keep going. And everybody loves the branding possibilities. Everyone loves a good branding possibility.
Love that. It's the elusive clean plate, right? We know we shot it, we just don't know where it is. I can't tell you how many times I've been on both ends of that. So
I'm going to make an art film of all of the clean plates or whatever, that I've ever asked for. If you could please just shoot that door opening and closing very slowly in case we need it, that, and of course, bubble passes and things like that. Anyway, I'm sorry, I'm taking us off message. Let's we're about to finish creating the portal, so I'll leave you back to it.
For sure, but no, that's totally on message, right? Is sometimes you have to receive these things, and that's why the portals are so useful. Which is, not only can I leave that portal open for the whole production as send me whatever you need. I don't need to create a new portal for that person to upload those clean plates that we encountered 3 months down the road, right? Let's keep this live for the whole show, for the whole project, or even if you just want to have, if you're a freelancer and you just want to have one portal for yourself, right? That's always live and you just have a password on it. so that any new client you're working with can access it. You just send them the password. That's going to help you a lot, especially if you have these integrations, which we're going to talk about, set up where you can just automatically start receiving things. So, kind of basic stuff here, right? I've actually tagged this as VFX, but maybe I want to tag it as dailies, like I'm receiving dailies here, or original camera media, and I can also do things like password protection, right? So I can set an upload password, but also a download password. So I can password protect those downloads, which goes a long way, talking about projects that are under NDA that have like tight security restrictions. MASV is, TPN certified. We have SOC 2 certifications. There's a lot of requirements we meet on, the feature, film, and TV side that are really applicable to folks who just want a little bit more security across whatever kind of project you're working on. Go ahead.
Conner, actually, before you go any further, there was a question from Michael in the chat, and that was, do the portal emails, are they sent when a transfer starts, stops, or both?
Yeah, so that is sent when the transfer is completed. So once the transfer is completed, once those files are up in MASV, that person will receive a notification saying, hey, your files are ready to be downloaded.
All right, cool.
Yeah.
I had a question, and that was as it pertains, and maybe, I have an integration question, so I'll wait till you get to the integrations tab. So keep going.
Totally cool. Yeah. I mean, next up, we go over rules, which, nobody likes rules, but we have to follow them every once in a while. We do have this great little feature here called terms of service, right? So this is more for folks who are, let's say you are an organization that is like a sports organization or an event organization, and you want to set up a portal for user-generated content. You can actually show this terms of service and let folks know, hey, as soon as you upload this to the portal, we take ownership of it. You no longer have ownership of it. Great little tool for folks who are accepting user-generated content. Just let them know and protect yourself. Hey, we own this now. Thank you for submitting it. We're going to use this now. But the next thing we've got here is file specification. So these are great little tools if I want to do things like enable a max package size. So, we talked about MASV being a per consumption cost, right? As much as I download. Well, I want to make sure that, folks aren't uploading more than like 100 gigabytes or 200 gigabytes or things like that. That wasn't what we agreed on sending, right? Nothing worse than saying like, yeah, we have like 200 gigs of footage, and then you find out it's like 600 or a terabyte. That can obviously, end up costing you more.
Never happens. Those things. Never happens. I don't know what you're talking about. No.
Yeah. Right. Oh, sorry. And you can even, set like a max, individual file size, right? So really good tools here to, kind of keep your costs in check if you want to get really granular on those features, and even a max file count, right? You said you were sending me 10 plates when, there's 15 here. Also never happens, right? Never happens.
Never.
And then you can get even more granular with your file types as well. So, you can choose to allow only specific file types or even restrict certain file types. So if you have clients that are dropping in like PDFs or CSVs or any type of file that's not the media that you want to receive, you can actually restrict that. So MASV won't even upload those files. MASV will just receive the files that you want to receive. So that's one that we see people use a lot, where they want to restrict what kinds of files go in. Yeah, is that something that you would use, Andy?
I was just thinking about it. I mean, in my head, I was just kind of trying to balance the pain threshold between like, I'm sorry, you said specifically you were not sending me phantom, cine files, versus
right.
the, getting calls from my client going, I'm trying to upload these phantom cine files and MASV isn't working. So, but I still think I like the former and just trying to keep it clean.
Yeah, I think it comes down to communication, obviously, like with your client as well, which is always what doesn't come down to communication with the client, but it comes down to your workflow, right? How restrictive do you want to be? What kind of project is this, right? Like, I've spoken to a lot of like VFX supervisors who are receiving packages from multiple vendors, and they're asking them specifically, like, don't put this file in here, don't put these PDFs in here, we want CSVs. And they really like this feature because, you're working with, let's say, hundreds of shots being submitted a day. you want to be able to filter those things out, right? Or don't
Ge-
put these MP4s in here, don't put MOVs in here.
Does Massive or does the portal, or I guess does Massive filter that stuff out? Like if the client drops a folder full of stuff in there, will I
Mhm.
get only the? I'll only get the if I only want MOVs or something. I'll only get those, and it'll ignore everything else.
Exactly. So
Oh,
it'll
that could be
only
great.
upload those ones.
Yeah, that could be great. Especially, I mean, we've all been, I'm sure, in a place where you've been, you've been handed a 4 terabyte drive, and all you need are the OCNs, but included in that are audio and transcodes and stuff that the DIT did. And okay, so
Yeah.
I can see that, definitely see the benefit.
Yeah. And it's,
Definitely.
and that's the nice thing is like you can either choose to use it or you don't have to use it at all, right? You can just accept everything and kind of sort through it as it gets received on your end. Um, and then this is actually something that I really like about Massive and that really, really excited me just because I've been on the VFX editor side. I've had to set up those package naming formats and adhere to those naming formats. So we can actually force a naming convention for your package submissions. So using regex, I've actually created a label here. So I want to thank you, folks. Thank you, folks. I know. I know.
Yeah,
Um,
everybody on this call likes to force naming convention. It's like yes, totally.
it's a lifesaver, right? It's how you stay organized. And, as boring as it kind of sounds, right? Like file naming and conventions and being specific and granular with this can speed up your workflow exponentially and save you a ton of time. But it can also, if you have tools, right, that are meant to pick up certain things and certain naming conventions that you've written for your workflow,
It's
this could
exactly what
really
I was
help
thinking
that.
about. Exactly what I was
Yeah.
thinking about. If you've got your in our case, if you've got Flame set up to either with pattern browsing or you've got Python scripts that are doing any kind of filtering, and they're looking for either keywords or key sets of characters. Anyway, this is great. I
Amazing.
told you this is the crowd that wants to get granular on this. We love this stuff.
Good,
Totally.
good. I'm glad. I'm glad. And like I told you, Andy, if I'm getting too granular on anything, please let me know. But I'm also happy to talk about like literally anything related to sending and
All good.
receiving files or not. Um, the other thing and last thing here is setting an expiry date for this portal. So if you know that job's going to come up and you don't want to have this portal open anymore to receive files, you can set an end date for that portal. So 2 weeks from now, when the job's done and they're not submitting anything anymore, it'll automatically just go inactive. So that way nothing comes in and out, and you don't get charged for down. Let's say you have an automation set up and you're downloading files. Nothing will come through that portal. So next up, look and feel, which is really important, right? When we're client facing, we want to make sure things look good, that represent us, that maybe even represent the brand or, show or production that we're working with. So obviously I took the Logik TV logo, threw in a little flame background, and I can even set the accent color here to be really whatever I want it to be. Nice little feature that kind of gives it that look and polish that I think you really want to show that when you're sending these links to clients and things like that. They know that way it's for them, right? And they feel
Mm-hmm.
special. And there's nothing better than making a client feel special. All right,
Love
Andy,
it.
we're here. We made it
Woo!
to integrations, and I know you had an integration question.
Yes, I did. The integration question I had was, I guess this pertains to Wasabi and maybe S3 in particular. Is
Mhm.
Massive hosted on Amazon Web Services on AWS?
Yes. So
Okay.
Massive is built on AWS. So we're built on the AWS backbone. So anything you send, Massive is an AWS bucket. And then once it's up in Massive, then it will be delivered to any of your destinations. So it hits us first, and then
Hmm.
we'll send it off to someone else. So the cool thing about us is that we prioritize getting the file up first. So we're going to prioritize the speed of that upload by pointing you to the most local AWS data center. So,
Hmm.
if you're in LA, right, like you'll be pointed to the closest data center there. I mean, I'm in Toronto, right, so I'm going to be pointed to the closest one there. And then using the AWS backbone, wherever that file needs to be delivered, then it will be moved to that person's destination. So we really prioritize that upload, and then also, getting the download to where it needs to be after that.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Great.
Um, and it works really fast, with AWS. So The cool thing about this portal, right, that I'm setting up here is right now I've got this portal set up to send to my Dropbox account, also Wasabi, but I want to set this up so it goes to Wasabi, and I'm going to set this up so it actually goes to my storage device, and I'm going to send this to Frame.io. So once all those files are up in Massive, it'll be delivered to all three of these locations, and I'm actually going to get an email notifying me that it's been successfully delivered to each location. So that's really important too, right? Which it's great that I'm going to send it to these three places, but I need to know, because this is happening automatically, I need to know it was successfully delivered. That's really key here.
Yep. No, that's
And
another
so,
thing too. I'll start an upload and then hop on the other machine and get into some comping task and not notice that an hour's passed and and the upload failed. It's great. I love it. I love it.
yeah, it's, that's the thing, right? Especially if you're like one man banding this and you're uploading files, you're downloading files, you're comping, you're sending emails to clients. Like, it's just great to have all these things automated so that you can get there faster, right? And you can kind of have that assurance that you're not missing anything. And this storage device actually is really interesting. So I've got 100 terabyte NAS here beside me, that I want to receive data to. And this is actually really new for Massive. So this is our storage agent. Um, we have certified this for use on Synology. We've had this certified for use on QNAP. We also have just a generic Docker installation that you can set up. So if you wanted to send this to, set up Docker on your desktop and then send it to a RAID that you have locally connected. If you wanted immediately to go to, let's say, an SSD RAID that you have working, or an NVMe drive that you've got set up on your workstation, we can automate that because Massive offers an API. We have this storage agent that allows you to set up these destinations. Lots of tools and a desktop app that actually uses automations as well, which I can show a little later. We give
This
you
is
a
so
bunch of
great,
options.
man. This is so great. I
Good.
just want to interrupt you and just comment
Yeah.
about the storage device feature. I know our good friend Randy McEntee has been using it, and I mean, even here for my jobs, my usual workflow is I'll get a notification that something's been uploaded or it's waiting for me. I download it to my Mac, which is kind of like my internet connected machine, and then I will copy it to my Synology, for population into the my regular job flow. And the fact that you can, that I mean, in the spirit of removing the steps, removing the hops, having everything happen simultaneously, it's just great. It's something I didn't know was possible. And when we had our run through and you were telling me this, I was super excited about it. I sent Randy a screenshot of this, and he responded with like, "Dude, I've been using this." Like, so it's great. Love it.
Awesome.
Love it.
Shout out to Randy. Thanks for using this. It's, I've only started kind of using it in the last few months here, and it's just shown me kind of the possibilities that with file transfer, right? Just being able to automate it to go to that local storage. And I think it also becomes part of that larger discussion, which is, we were all remote for so long, right? And the cloud was kind of paraded as like the only way forward, the only way of the future. And while I certainly believe that 100%, right now, I think the most you're going to get out of your workflow, you're going to get the most out of your workflow by being taking a hybrid approach, right? Having stuff in the cloud for ease of use, like we saw earlier with those remote files, being able to send files directly from the cloud, or being able to remote into that network attached storage, versus also like having those files locally, right, to work with, because we're still working with 4K and 6K and 8K and all the resolutions up from that, and nothing really beats having that kind of locally, right? Which is why we need to still send and receive files. That's why this service exists, is because files need to go multiple places. So now that I've got those set up, and by the way, if you haven't, let's say you have a new integration here and you just want to add it quickly while you're setting up your portal, you just hit add new integration. You can see the list of integrations that Massive supports: Azure, Backblaze, Frame.io, just S3, Google Cloud, Media Silo, PostLab, OneDrive. Like it's kind of endless here, right? So lots of options, lots of flexibility for you. The last thing I'll show you while we're setting up this portal is that custom form here, right? So I've set up a form name. I've called it VFX submission, and I can customize the fields of the package that I want to receive. And I can say whether those are a required field or an optional field. Okay. And I can have all the metadata from this form put into a JSON, a CSV, an XML, as well as the email body, so that I have all this metadata from my actual file submission. So if you have a workflow or a tool that could read, JSON, CSV, or XML, that'll help you get it into your pipeline with the submission data that you've received from that submission, you can automate that. You can bring that into ShotGrid, now called Flow. Sorry, I'm old school. I'd still call it Shotgun every once in a while. You can integrate that into Flow, right? And so we give you lots of flexibility on how you receive that metadata, but also if you're working with a coordinator or a producer who's not, a machine who's going to read JSON or CSV or XML files, it can be in an email body as well, so they can quickly search that in their Google Drive. So lots of great features there that we can, collect that area. I've got an email here. I've even got little submission notes, and who doesn't like filling out submission notes, right? So I'm going to hit save on that, and I've got my portal all set up. And now we can actually send those files, right? So I'm just going to reload this just in case I made any changes here. So I've got some files here where I have some original camera media as well as some dailies. So I'm going to take those and just drop them into the window here. And I have a package name here. So I want to make sure that I've submitted this in my code here. What's today? Yeah.
11.3.
Amazing. Thank you. I have a show code here, right? So I'll just call this Logik. And this is going to be season 1 episode. What are we at? 139?
139.
Love that. And this is my first submission of the day. So I've matched the package naming format there. I'll put in my email. And then no notes for this. It's perfection. Final.
10 out of 10.
Right? 10 out of 10. Ship it. Perfect. Ooh, pardon me. And then all I need to do is hit send package, and you'll see, so it'll give me a little progress here, and you can see I'm getting up to over 800 megabytes.
That is saturating the fiber, yes.
Literally, 1,000 megabits per second there I hit, right? So I'm on a 1 gig line. And so now that's all successfully delivered, right? It's been uploaded. And I can actually jump over here. I have pardon me, I'm just going to move my file window over here for a second. I had my window open and then it got closed.
I know the feeling.
The incoming from my portal downloads, right? So once that stuff's all up in MASV, that'll start populating then inside of Frame.io. So eventually those will make its way there. Mm-hmm. Of course, right, we're live, so it's not showing up as instantly as it did 2 seconds ago.
It's a live show.
It is a live show, right? And so you can see that transfer history there, right? I received those OCM files at 2:42, which is a minute ago, delivered to through my portal here. Mm-hmm. So that's kind of how easy it could be, right, for a customer or a client to receive that data directly to you. Just want to make sure I save my integrations here to Frame.io on my storage device. And there we go. So you can see there's my submission in Frame.io. And I've got
I've been waiting 6 months to press that button. Okay, sorry, go ahead. Thank you for making my dream come true.
And you can see here I've got my, day 1, day 2, day 3 dailies here that all were uploaded, right? And these were some shots that I shot last year. Canadian winter, shout out Canadian winter.
Late July.
July, yeah. Amazing. And you can see here I'll have my portal downloads, which actually should go in here. I'm not sure why they're not shown up there yet, but so those will get delivered to your local storage. They'll get delivered to your Frame.io. I did not have my Wasabi integration turned on here, but if I had put those in Wasabi, I'd be able to then send those to have those in my remote files to be able then to deliver those files to another client. So I wouldn't even need to have access to my machine. I could just log into I'm in the coffee shop and the client says, hey, where are those files? Or you need to share those plates with this new vendor. I could just quickly go into Wasabi, grab them, and deliver those plates to those folks. So some really powerful features inside of here in terms of, automations, custom forms, integrations, and all of that can be done on the desktop app as well. So you can see I'm downloading something here. Oh, this is an old download. Forgive me.
I want to make sure all of our audience members know that the desktop app. You also have a native Linux version of the desktop app for those friends of ours who are running Flame on Linux, myself included.
That's right.
It's a lifesaver and game changer.
Yeah, for sure. I think that's something that we're really painfully aware of, right? Where a lot of apps right now, like, certain vendors don't support Linux, which, like, we have to account for everybody in the world, right? And all creatives kind of work on Mac, they work on Windows, they work on Linux, especially if you're in a studio or a big facility. Most of the time it's on Linux so that those machines are locked down. You're integrated into the pipeline. And, Massive use the desktop app. We use the API. We have, the headless operation of Massive as well. And then also the storage agent so that you can really approach your workflow in the most custom way and the way that works for you. And, for folks that maybe aren't like super code heavy, right, where they still want to automate these downloads, but they're not necessarily super certain on how to set up like storage agent, right? We do have automations built into the desktop app. So for instance, I'm just going to get rid of that here. I can create a new automation and it could be a send automation, right? It could be a send to portal automation. So setting up a watch folder so that anything I add to that watch folder immediately send it to this portal. Or I can set up a download from portal automation. So all I have to do is give this a name. So we can say this will be Logik here, and I've got my Logik Live portal, and I can give that a destination folder. So I'll just put it here on my Thunderblade, and I can even give priority to those packages that are downloaded. So if I'm downloading other things, packages from collaborators, but this portal is tied to a client, I can always make sure that that's the highest priority so that it gets downloaded first. So the other thing is, in this download packages starting from field, is if I've already had a portal that's been open for a week and I've just discovered that Massive can do automations with the desktop app, I can actually go back to in time and say, okay, anything that was uploaded from Sunday or October 27th here, download anything from then up until now to whatever this destination would be. And I can just hit create there and it'll start downloading things.
Very cool. Very cool.
Yeah, you can even see there it is. That package is getting downloaded to my location right now. So I picked it up. It said, oh yeah, there's something there. And you can see got it about 260, 273 right now. It's quite a small package, so it's probably not going to have a chance to get up to speed there per se, but it's done.
That's excellent.
Yeah.
Nice. A couple of questions in the chat. Phil was wondering about integrations. You had popped up the list of services that are available. He was wondering about, what are they? There, LucidLink, HammerSpace, or Weka. Are those listed in there? Or I saw there was one called Other S3. Like if, I don't know if maybe, especially for Weka, if you could hit that.
For sure. One sec. Forgive me, I'm still fighting a little bit of a cold. So,
dude,
great
I
question.
Never apologize for the cough button. Never. Good for you.
The LucidLink one, also super glad you brought that up. If you could just do me a big favor, if you could email whoever your contact is at LucidLink, just let them know that you would like a Massive integration. We're always more than happy to integrate with services like that. Today, we don't have integrations for HammerSpace or Weka, but the key thing here is I'm on the Logik forum, so if you guys have Massive integrations that you want, I'm happy to start a thread there, and I hear you guys out and hear what you want, how you want it to work. I think Weka and HammerSpace would be amazing integrations to have here, and if that's something that you guys are super interested in, just keep letting me know, keep letting Massive know, because we're building this for users, right? Like, this isn't just for us. Part of the reason, and this is a little personal, but the part of the reason that I'm here is I've kind of been in the chair, right? I know what it's like to be on the other side where, I wish it worked just this way. I wish it worked that way. And you kind of feel like you're shouting, into the void sometimes. You're like, why can't you just make it work like this? I'm here, guys. We're here as a team at Massive, so please let us know what you want, and we're more than happy to explore what it's going to take to build those integrations and actually bring them to life. So, Weka and
Connor's on the
Hammerspace.
forum. Oh, sorry.
That's right. No problem. I just
on
going to say
the forum, it's
Hammerspace are. Andy, you go ahead.
You'd think after 5 years of doing this, I would have gotten the timing down, but no, clearly there's room for improvement. So
That's
go ahead.
right.
Sorry, Weka and Hammerspace.
And Lucid Link, we're here, we're listening, and if there's a lot of people in the community that want those integrations, just keep letting us know, and we're more than happy to explore those and what it's going to take. And also, whenever you're suggesting anything for an integration, it always really helps us, giving us idea on how you would want it to work, right? Not just like, okay, integrate with this, okay, cool, files moving out, but if there's a specific way you think that it should integrate with it, or how you would want it to integrate, all that color and all that detail really helps us on a personal level as well.
Cool. I'm going to put your username on the forum in the comments here, in the chat rather,
Perfect.
so that everybody can have it. So
awesome, thank you. But yeah, these are the services that we currently support that are available today, right? Dropbox, Google Drive. You can see our Synology QNAP and Amazon EBS/EFS integrations, as well as our generic other storage devices, and all these other cloud storage for business, asset management, like Frame.io. Iconic is a big integration as well. Media Silo, Reach Engine, SharePoint, Storage A, PostLab, Periphery, MinIO, Live Cloud, Wasabi. Like there's a ton of integrations here that can kind of fit into your pipeline.
Nice. Let's see. BJ had a question that was, if he needs full speed, is it possible? I guess the question here is it possible to download something via the desktop app? I guess maybe and the browser. If I need full speed, get both most possible flow. Is there like a? Is there? I guess there is. Is there a cap, a download cap, or speed or whatever cap?
Yeah, for sure. So the desktop app is capable of 10 gigabits per second. We cap out about 5 gigabits per second with the browser. So if you use Massive in a browser, you're going to cap out about 5 gigabits per second. The browser is great because it's universal, right? Like I can just open up a browser, I can access Massive, I can start downloading those things. But browsers can crash, and that's kind of the weak point of something like Chrome or Safari or whatever you're using, Opera or Brave. Whereas if you use the Massive desktop app, we have resumable file transfers here. So I can pause uploads, I can pause downloads. If let's say the whole machine crashes or something like that, I'll be able to pick up the download again from where it left off or where it crashed, so then I can keep downloading things. So I don't have to restart that download, right? That's available to me to pick back up once everything gets up and running again.
Cool. Question from Michael. If I'm downloading to Frame.io, Wasabi, and locally, is that considered 3 downloads of the data? And from a cost perspective?
Yeah, 100%. So yeah, that would cost you, right? Because you're downloading 3 times those individual locations. We do have other plans, not just like the pay-as-you-go. That's kind of usually the first thing that people see on the Massive site, which is that 25 cents a gig. But we have subscriptions. We even have prepay credits. So if you have a job coming up that is going to be 2 terabytes and it's only going to last like 2 weeks, and it's just that one-time transfer, you can prepay for those credits, use those up, download them, and if you ever go over those or anything like that, that's just going to default to that pay-as-you-go. And then, we do have subscriptions, which is brand new this year. So if you're someone who's frequently sending data every month and like I'm roughly around 200 gigs, 500 gigs, a terabyte or anything like that, feel free, sign up for a subscription. You'll have those credits to use monthly, and then that's kind of a more predictable cost for you as well.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I think it's definitely worth noting that while there might be a cost associated with downloading it multiple times, the time saving, if you factor in your time, and especially with either large volumes of files or just the frequency of the number of times you're getting hit with can you upload this to Frame.io, can you send this to the editor, that kind of stuff. It's that certainly has to be part of your calculation. I think I know it is for me.
For sure. Yeah, and we've all been on those kind of crunch jobs, right, where it's like this has to get done sooner, and anywhere you can kind of yeah, every job becomes deadlines aren't getting longer.
No.
That's what I have learned over the last few years is like, deadlines don't get longer. They only get shorter. The expectations are only higher, right? So we have to start looking at like, well, this is the process. I know what the process is. How can I cut this down or automate parts of this so that I can still rely on the pieces I need for that process to deliver the product that I know I can deliver, right? It's not about cutting corners. It's just about speeding things up.
Josh has a follow-up question to this, and that is it possible to upload something to your account, but the client downloads it on their account, so the client pays if they download?
That's actually an interesting question. I guess in that case, it would just be the client setting up a portal for you to upload to, and then that way they're charged for the downloads, right?
Gotcha.
Because they're gonna, need to receive those files. You can set it up, let's say it's a billable for your client if you wanted to do that, or it's just, included in your service. You could send them a link. Obviously, then you incur that cost. But the best way to do that would be have the client set up a portal. Even that instant portal where I showed you is just very quickly to set that up. They can send you a link and you can say, here you go. Here's the 4 terabytes of media that you need. And you guys can download it and you guys can put it where you need it.
This is absolutely, you said get granular if you want to. We're trying to wonder, can you integrate Massive Portal with another Massive Portal? So I can upload something to my portal and then it will automatically be sent over to my client's portal. We may have broken the matrix
interesting.
Here.
That's interesting. I think that I'd be interested in the use case for that specifically, because I think of a portal as like a single upload, right? Like, you could, in theory, send it to, really you would just be uploading it and then sending the client the download link, I think, at the end of the day, if it needs to go to their portal. That's actually a great question. I would have to look into that a little bit more in terms of what the workflow for that would be. But yeah, I don't know.
This is probably that one use case that breaks the whole internet. It ends up making so many copies of itself that the internet fills up, and that's the end of it. Thanks, Josh. Appreciate you. Yes, absolutely. One more question before we get to our giveaway. And actually, Phil had a question in the chat. And if you don't have an answer for this, maybe we can send it off to support. Sure. Phil's our resident pipeline expert here, and he was saying he's using the curl script from the dev site for portals, and he's unable to get team ID to be recognized. Is that something that you've either seen or familiar with, or is that something that we should forward on to support?
Let's talk with support about that. I definitely think they're going to be able to help you out a little bit more, and we can get a little more granular in there about what's going on, and even take a look at the script maybe and kind of troubleshoot with you to figure that out. Yeah.
Cool. Great. Actually, Josh here had an answer, and that was about the use case for this, is that different departments at the company, I guess maybe that's some way to auto-actualize the costs that get associated with. So that's just
for sure.
That is a good use case. Thank you, Josh.
Yeah, it is a good use case and very valid. I think setting up massive portals on their end as well as where you're sending files so that they go to those specific people. I think that's really the kind of the easiest solution there, is getting them set up with portals. Great use case. I love that use case for sure. Cool.
All right, we have something to give away here, courtesy of our friends at Massive, and that it was a 1 terabyte. 1 terabyte package of credits worth $246 on Massive. So I am going to, for the first time in a long time, we're going to spin the prize wheel here. And I believe we have everybody loaded in. And, all right, Jeff, here we go. All right, we're going.
Here we go.
Who got it? Brian Conley, congratulations.
Shout out, Brian.
Wonderful. All right. Congratulations, Brian. I will send you an email with that. And there we go. I think that's it for today. Unless anybody has any other questions for... Oh, Brian Collins in the chat. All right. Woohoo. Congratulations, awesome. Brian.
Congrats, Brian.
Well, if no one has any other questions, I want to thank you so much for coming on, Conner. And... and please thank the entire team at Massive again. Ever since Randy first introduced us to it, it's been an integral part of how I run my business. And I have a tote bag that I was given from the guys at IBC. They were like, "You must be I must have been like the most enthusiastic, person to come up there and see them, and they were like, "Here, crazy man from America, here is a tote bag." But seriously, you guys are great, and thank you for what you're doing. And it's great having you show and great getting to meet you, man. So thank you.
Yeah, great meeting you too. Thank you so much for having me. This is an awesome community. Loving what's going on in the forum, and hopefully be a little more active before the end of the year. Just kind of reaching out to you guys, see what's going on. So yeah, thank you again, Andy, for having me. This was awesome.
Of course, Connor's going to join us over on Zoom for the patrons chat in a few minutes. So if you want to go grab some coffee and meet us over at Zoom, I'll see you there in a couple minutes. And I'm going to close out the show with the slideshow, which hopefully will work. And thanks again, man. Appreciate you.
Thank you. Cheers.
All right, here we go. Coming up on Logik Live. Very excited. Okay, hold on. Jeff. There we go. Coming up on Logik Live next week. Whew, that worked. On Sunday, November 10th at 2 p.m., we're going to show off Logik Project with the man, the myth, the legend, Phil Man. I'm going to host that. We are going to show, if you haven't seen Logik Project yet on the forum, I guess the best way that we've described it is it's a pipeline for the everyman. I mean, Phil has really taken like the whole concept of how to not just set up and organize your projects in Flame, but maximize your really like your time investment. My description will not do it justice. Tune in next week and check out what Phil has put together for the community and see the magic that is Logik Project. So very much looking forward to that. We're going to have, I don't want to give too much away, but we're going to be doing live workflow demonstrations between Phil in California, Josh in New Jersey, Brian in Chicago, and Drew in Australia. And so if my keynote presentation here is any indication of how well that's going to go, definitely tune in for an amazing live show. But no, if anything fails, it will not be the result of anything with Logik Project. It's totally going to be what I'm doing here. But very much looking forward to seeing that next week. Then Sunday, November 17th, we're going to start a two-parter on Matchbox. I want to thank everybody on the forum who commented with their favorite Matchbox plugins, and so we are going to profile a few of those. Next week, I'm going to have Andy Dill and Sanan Viral on, and 2 weeks after that, because we're going to take a little break off for the Thanksgiving holiday here in the States, we're going to do part 2 with Ted Stanley and Ryland Johnson. And then just a shout out to our friend Ivar. It would have been his 51st birthday last week, and so much of the Matchbox magic is a testament to Ivar and his legacy, and he is the gift that keeps on giving, because we use that stuff every single day. So definitely tune in for those. And then I am working on something for December 8th, but it's not ready to announce yet. But December 15th, Jeff Kyle's going to take the captain's chair, and we're going to see the latest from Mocha and Sapphire with all of our friends at Boris FX. If you have not signed up for the forum yet, please do. It's where all the conversation is happening at forum.logik.tv. And if you're in the mood for talking, be sure to check out the Logik TV Discord for a great live chat. Even myself, I had a color management question a week or two ago and got an answer from Finn, who never sleeps apparently, which helped me out. So if you have questions, or if you want to share cat pictures or anything like that in between, definitely check out the Logik Discord. The latest episode of the Logik Podcast is an interview with flame artist Margalit Steiner, so check that out at your podcatching app of choice. If you haven't already done so, please like and subscribe our YouTube channel. And want to thank all of our patrons on Patreon. We could not do what we do without you. You make all of this possible. And if you'd like to get access to some exclusive content, like the conversations we have after the show on Zoom, and get a Logik Challenge coin, head on over to patreon.com/LogikTV and sign up for as little as $5 a month. And while you're at it, the holidays are right around the corner, my friends. Be sure to outfit the flame artist in your life with anything from the Logik merch store. I can tell you from firsthand experience that the fanny pack makes everyone look 10 years older. So, also want to make sure everyone's aware of the Boris FX affiliate links that we have for everything that Boris offers. You can find them all at logik.tv/BorisFX. And again, one more time, a shout out to our friends at Looper. If you ever need to share a live session with clients and you want them to be able to interact, to annotate, definitely check out looper.io. And for new users, you can get 1 month of the Plus plan for free at tinyurl.com/looper-1. Logik. That's going to do it for Logik Live, my friends. Thank you, Conner. Thank you, everyone, for tuning in. It's great to be back. I am so happy to be back, and I cannot wait to see all of you soon. See you next time, friends.